What's up, Nail Geeks? I am back with Hella Handmade Creations May 2021 contributions to show you guys. This month I have 15 polishes and we've got some really fun colors, so let's dive right into the swatches. First up is by Dany Vianna, the Phantom of the Opera is here. This is described as a dark gray crelly base with copper aurora shimmer and copper iridescent flakes. This is part of her mixed tape series, price is $12.50 and there's a cap of 150 bottles. So this has a very jelly sort of formula to it, and it's got a bit more of a heavy type of feel in how it applies. So for full coverage, I'm going to suggest between 2 and 3 coats. This is really going to depend on your nail length and how you apply. I personally thought that 2 normal coats was really good for covering up my free edge, and you can see here that it definitely builds up that smoky sort of grayed out base color. Now the shimmer is quite strong in this one. You're going to see that nice reddish copperish sort of cast, and the flakes match up with that color roll too, going from that copper to a very luminescent sort of green. Now this dries down really flat, so you're going to want to use a somewhat thicker glossy top coat to finish it off. And by Vanessa Molina brings us Trixie. This is described as a blue jelly base with mixed flakes in purple to red to pink, holographic silver shreds, a shred of holographic purple glitters, and dispersed holographic pigment. This is part of her My Little Pony Equestria series, price is $13 and there is a cap of 120 bottles. So this is another very jelly sort of finish to it. On Trixie, I'm going to suggest going in quite light on your coats and allowing it to slowly build up. When you take it up to 3 lighter coats, it's going to give you that strong pond effect and that really nice juicy jelly sort of appearance. Now, I want to note, in my opinion, this is a touch on the lighter, almost being somewhat sheer. So I think this could also double as a topper over some type of medium blue base. If you have a really prominent free edge like myself, then you might see just a touch of your smile line after that 3rd coat. It's really subtle on myself, but I definitely thought it was worth noting. Now, this dries down very flat too, so again, if you want that real nice squishy sort of appearance in your overall finish, then I'm going to suggest a good glossy top coat. And Cuticula brings us Happy Place. This is described as an off-white crelly full of rainbow iridescent shifting flakes, shiny metallic rose gold, and blue flakes, and small platinum flakes. This is part of her new Disney series. Price is $12.50 and there is no cap. So I do agree with the official description. The base color is not a stark white. It's almost like an antique white, if you will. There's a touch of a very soft sort of golden undertone with it, but it's just very much an off sort of white. Now this is packed full of flakes. It is very pretty. I think some may be able to get away with 2 coats for full opacity on it, but I'm going to suggest going in for that 3rd coat as it really helps to pack a punch for the flakes. This is absolutely rainbow filled, and I love how the more metallic, so the silver and the gold flakes, really pop well against the rainbow effect of the other flakes too. So lots of a pond sort of effect between your layers. And this one also dries down very, very flat. Not so much textured, but it's going to be just a touch thirsty for top coat. So once again, I'm going to suggest going in with a somewhat thicker glossy top coat to seal this one up and give you that nice smooth glossy appearance. And Esmaltes de Kelly brings us another duo this month. The first one I'm showing you guys is Coffee Jelly. This is described as a brown jelly polish, part of her Brazil series. Now, you can grab both of the polishes in the duo for their respective prices, or you can grab them as a duo for a discounted price. Whether you purchase them individually or as a set, there is a cap of 100 on either option. In my opinion, I'm going to describe this one as an oxblood red because when you go in for, say, 2 coats, if you wanted to stop here and use it as some sort of undie for whatever you're doing, it's going to have this brownish sort of brick red appearance. But true to, in my opinion, an ox blood, it's definitely going to deepen out and vampen out like crazy when you go up to that third coat. It has a really smooth jelly feel to it, self-levels very well. And if you are wearing this by itself, I'm going to suggest going in for that third coat just to vampen it out really well. Now at the end here on my full hand shot, I'm not showing you guys a top coat because I'm going to go in with the topper, but you can see how glossy it dries down by itself. And this is the second part of the duo. This is Caffeine, described as a baby pink with iridescent flakes and aurora shimmer shifting from orange to pink. This one is $12.50 if you choose to purchase on its own. If I'm not mistaken, if you purchase the duo, I think it's like $1 or $1.50 off this set. Now, Caffeine is something else. You can absolutely wear this by itself, but I wanted to show it over coffee jelly, and you can really see that dark, deep base helps the flakes in this one pop so well. This is very, very shifty. In indoor lighting, it's got this gorgeous, very hot pink sort of appearance, but an easy shift over to oranges and greens. Really lovely. Now this dries on semi-flat, so I think any sort of good glossy top coat is going to seal this one up really well and just help the color roll in general pop. And Femme Fatale brings us Jelly Jubes. This is a light green when warm to teal green when cold, thermal with matte red hexes in 2 small sizes. This is part of the Candy series. Price is $14 and there is no cap. So this has a very somewhat crelly sort of formula. I think it applies like a really creamy, smooth sort of jelly. So I guess crelly there if I'm going to correct myself. This builds up very easily to opacity, self-levels very well. I had no issues getting quite a bit of those glitters out of the bottle. Now between that first and second coat, you can see how it's drying down. It is quite flat and a touch thirsty. So if you are using a lighter sort of top coat, you might need to do a second coat of your glossy top coat or a glitter smoothing top coat. Now, I don't think it's super gritty in my opinion, but I just think you're going to need something to help even this one out. Now, the thermal properties to this one are quite reactive. Here with the ice water shot, you can see it goes from this nice limey sort of almost grassy green to this deeper sort of teal green. And Hearts and Promises brings us Hello Dolly. This is described as a deep pink linear hollow, part of her Broadway musical series. Price is $12.50 and there's a cap of 200 bottles. So this one has a jelly formula to it. It starts off a touch on the softer side. So for full opacity, I'm going to suggest 3 coats on it. It is very true to a jelly in that how you wear it, whether it's at 2 or 3 coats, depending on your free edge length, will definitely depend on how deep that red base comes out. Now, in my opinion, I do think that the video is coming out color accurate on my monitor. So just in case it's not, this is what I would describe as a reddened sort of pink. And that's probably because it's got that jelly type of formula to it. So when you wear it lighter or as you guys saw in the first coat, it definitely had a pinky sort of appearance to it, but it definitely deepens out to this almost berry sort of pinky look when you're finished. Now on the third coat here, you can see it's going on real smooth. It dries down semi-gloss, so I think any top coat will be perfectly fine with it. And the holographic effect is what I would consider more of a very scattered sort of linear holographic. It's, in my opinion, the particle size making it look like it's a strong scatter. And MLF Lacquer brings us Papilio Glaucus. This is a light yellow curly polish with blue to green to gold color shifting iridescent flakes, green to gold aurora shimmer, black ultra holographic micro glitters, and silver hollow micro glitters, part of the Butterfly series. Price is $11 and there's a cap of 100 bottles. Now this one has a very strong crelly formula to it. It's a real squishy on application and it's got this nice thicker type feel when you're applying. Now this does have just the slightest bit of a softer sort of feel when it comes to a strong free edge, but I'm going to suggest stopping at 2 coats since it's got such a strong squishy factor. You're going to want to prevent any over buildup of it, and I think stopping at 2, letting it dry down, and then going in with a glossy top coat gives you that perfect thickness and that really strong, somewhat squishy sort of crelly appearance. And Nail Artisan Cosmetics brings us the Silver Bounty Hunter. This is a cool gunmetal gray base mixed with a generous helping of linear holographic. This is part of the Star Wars series and price is $13 and there's a cap of $100. So this has a really smooth formula to it. It feels almost jelly-like, but it's more of what I would describe as a opaque sort of jelly, if you will. This is absolutely packed full of holographic pigment, and for opacity, I'm going to suggest 2 coats. It builds beautifully, dries down semi-gloss, and I mean, that second coat is absolutely satisfying to watch here. That it's just so packed full of rainbows, really lovely. And in the sunlight, this will absolutely light up with that holographic effect. Now again, 2 coats is perfect. And on the full hand shot here, you're seeing a glossy top coat. I didn't have any issues using the top coat I've been using for the last, I think 2 or 3 weeks now, in terms of it dulling the holographic effect. So I think any will be fine. And Night Owl Lacquer brings us Feroche. This is a glowy neon green, somewhat yellow, with green to gold shimmer and lots of gold to copper to green crystal chameleon flakes. Part of her Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild series. Price is $12.80 and there is no cap on it. So this is what I would consider a true straight up get your sunglasses neon green. It does have a yellow undertone to it, but overall it's a beautiful slimy sort of green, really nice, and it will absolutely, true to a neon, glow under a black light. So for opacity, I'm going to suggest 2 coats on it. This also has a strong squishy factor and it comes off nice and viscous as you're applying. So honestly, I don't really see anyone needing to go to a 3rd coat on it, because it does build up very quickly and you want to prevent too much buildup on your nails and just allow it to do its thing. Now it does dry down quite flat, true to neons in my experience. So you're going to want to use a good glossy top coat. And Pampered Polishes brings us big, I'm going to say fish, I think. This is described as a soft, dusty lavender base with a blue to aqua aurora shimmer. This is part of the Bob's Burgers series. Price is $12 and there is no cap. So this has another very jelly formula to it. It starts off a touch on the sheer side. So for full opacity, I'm going to suggest 3 coats on it. The shimmer is quite strong. In person, you're going to see it as this lovely sort of bluish, kind of a medium blue cast to it. And at very extreme angles, you'll see a touch of that aqua appearance. So mostly, in my opinion, I think the shift overall is pretty subtle, but I think you'll see what you see on the video in person mostly. Now on the second coat here, you can see just a bit of my smile line still showing. And on the 3rd coat in brighter lights, I could still see just a touch of it. So if that bugs you, you might want to use a color correcting base coat of some type to cover that up. But again, if you're real into blurples, I think it's gorgeous and it's got that strong shimmery factor with it. Now this one dries down semi-gloss, so honestly, I think any top coat is going to be perfectly fine with it. And Paradox Polish brings us Witch's Veil. This is described as a green neon yellow with purple UCC flakes and purple glitters. This is part of the Weathers and Phenomenon series. Price is $12 and there is no cap. Now this has a very true sort of ultra smooth jelly-like feel on application. This is really going to depend on your nail length and how you apply and how you wear it. So I'm going to suggest between 2 and 3 coats. I personally thought that 2 coats was perfect for it. It definitely gave off this jelly sort of vibe, and I could see my smile line after the 2nd coat. Given how the formula felt to me, I felt like that was perfect to stop at. So this is, again, really going to depend on your preference. Now this dries down semi-gloss, so I think any glossy top coat is going to be perfect for it. And when you are in the dark, it glows in the dark, this lovely limey sort of green that you're seeing here. And Penelope Luz brings us Holy Grail. This is described as an iridescent flaky base that shifts from orange to pink with gold to red to white glitters. This is part of her King Arthur series. Price is $13 and there's a cap of 200 bottles. So this has a jelly formula to it, but it builds up really well. You'll see that here in just a moment. I'm going to suggest 3 coats on this one to get the maximum glitter payoff. Per usual, my bottles get a good shake before I go in to apply, and on this I had no issues getting so much glitter payoff. Now I'm going to also suggest going in and allowing each of your coats to dry down for maybe just a minute or two. That way the texture left over from your previous coat will help the next coat to adhere really well to your nails. And you can see on the 3rd coat here, really nice coverage. It does have just the slightest bit of my free edge showing here when I build it up, but I didn't think it was super noticeable in person, which is one thing I really do appreciate about full coverage glitters like this, that yes, in some very bright lighting situations, you can see a bit of your smile line, but I think the sparkly effect kind of takes away anything else that you're seeing there. And Rogue Lacquer is back with a new series for us. This is Out of the Sea, described as a vibrant purple jelly with red to magenta to green color shifting flakes and micro hollow flecks. This is part of her Little Mermaid series. Price is $13 and there's a cap of 250 bottles. So this has a jelly formula to it, but it builds very easily to opacity, and it's definitely something else. Even if you are purple picky like myself, I think this one's going to be definitely up your alley. It's vibrant, it's deep, and the flaky payoff is wonderful here. I really like how they pair very well with the little micro hollow flecks. You can kind of see them, especially here on that 2nd coat, and it self-levels really well. No issues with the flakes, everything laid down nice and flat for me. And on the 3rd coat, you can see that it is just plumping up so well. Now this one dries down quite flat, so not textured nor thirsty, but just straight up flat. So you're going to want to use a good glossy top coat with this one, especially to help those little micro flecks sparkle and have the color roll of the flakes pop really well. And lastly is Supernatural Lacquer Water. This is described as a jewel-toned teal green with blue to purple aurora shimmer, blue and hollow micro flakes. And this is part of the Elemental series. Price is $12 and there is no cap. So this has a crelly sort of formula to me. It's got a touch of a squish factor and it builds to opacity quickly. So for full coverage, I'm going to suggest 2 coats on it. The shimmer is very strong in this blue sort of cast, but I do think that the base color itself has a true sort of jewel toned teal to it. So depending on your lighting, that shimmer might take a bit more of your attention, if you will. So it might lean just a touch more green or blue, but in my opinion, what I'm seeing here on the playback on the video is what I'm seeing in person. So just a really strong blue shimmery cast. This is very easy to build to opacity and it does dry down flat. So you are seeing once again a glossy top coat on my full hand shot. Now these will be on pre-order from May 14th at 12:01 a.m. Eastern Time through May 21st at 11:59 p.m. Hawaiian time. I will break all this information down below for you guys, and the site should be up right now for preview. So I will link you guys below to HHC's shop and the Facebook fan group if you'd like to see additional swatches. All 15 of these and more are going to be available during this pre-order. And again, I'll have all of this information in the description box below. As always, if you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe. Thank you so much for watching.